Hey, I hope everyone had a great Easter weekend and a good start to your Monday. Um, I wanted to delve a little bit more into chiropractic in general and the basis behind it, and how that benefits you. So, the premise behind it is that we have the central nervous system, which is consisted of your brain and your spinal cord, and then you have your peripheral, which is everything else that travels outside of the spinal cord and brain. And so when we directly when we adjust the spine, that is what houses your spinal cord, that it encloses the spinal cord. So we're directly affecting the spinal cord and the pathways to the brain. And why that's important is because it not only helps with pain, because then your brain perceives pain differently, and it resolves that within the joint too. But it also helps you to function better because there's a communication pathway, a better communication pathway from the spinal cord to the brain. And so all this information is coming from everywhere. Your organs and your your legs and arms and your neck and back all go into the spinal cord. It's communicating information constantly. You don't even have to think about it. Back up to the brain, and that's where you have pain. You sense pain, or you sense something's wrong, or typically it's pain, or you feel weak, or something like that. The symptoms that you experience. So it's all this communication up to the spinal cord that relays that to the brain, and it tells you what may be going wrong in your body. And that's how your brain kind of keeps tabs on everything. I mean, even in your gut, a lot of nerves from your gut, directly communicate with the brain. They kind of bypass everything and go straight to the brain. So gut health is important because you have that direct communication to the brain. So, and an example of that is, you get nervous, you kind of feel it in your stomach, the butterflies. I mean, that's just your brain communicating with your gut. It's directly connected. So, I mean, that affects it. A crazy amount of information comes up through that, through the spinal cord and into the brain. But also, we talked about newborns and children getting adjusted, and the reason why that is so important is because their brain is maturing at that, the 0 to 7 years of age is really brand new. And they're pruning away stuff as they go along to become more specific to what they do a lot. So that's why it's so much easier for a child to learn music, or a child to learn a new skill, is because they have so much information, connections within the brain, that they can pick it up really easy. And that's why some kids, they learn everything. They soak it up. It's like they're like a sponge, literally. I mean. But then over time, it starts to prune that away. So when there's interference or not communicating correctly from the spinal cord to the brain, especially from 0 to 7, it really affects on how they perceive stuff into adulthood, and adolescence. And so it's really crucial to get, especially that age group, to get adjusted and checked often, because you're setting the foundation for a healthy nervous system, a healthy brain into adulthood. So that's why I think it's really crucial to get that, especially 0 to 7. Like I said before, it's that they are getting the correct communication, correct pathways to the brain to be able to interpret what is going on around them. And I can't emphasize that enough. It's so crucial for that to happen, to have that, because you can experience things in adulthood that could have been solved in childhood. And as well as adults too, we talk about neuroplasticity, which is just the brain's ability to change. It's not a solid, structure like hardware. It's more like software. You can download stuff onto a hardware, but it's similar to that. And I like to reason it like that because you can change things. You can change, the structure, not necessarily the structure of your brain, but the way it interprets stuff and the connections that are made. So it's not something that is just cannot change. So in getting adjusted, you break up those communication pathways again, and so they can function better. And so it's not just for kids but adults, but especially for kids, because they are in that beginning stage. I think they really benefit from that, and into adulthood. It works for everyone. So it's a cool little glimpse into the nervous system and how our brains and spinal cords function, and how we perceive our environment around us, and how chiropractic really helps to improve that function. So hopefully you liked it. Like this video, share it. Leave a comment if you have any questions.